What's your favorite scary movie?
Do you ever fantasize about
damn enchiladas?
That's much too vulgar display of power, Karen.
Let me ask you one question. Are you having fun?
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Because I promise you, you and I are going to have some fun.
Oh, no.
It is time to keep your appointment with the Wicker Man.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Shut up, you bitch hog.
Game over.
Sorry, what did you say? You were muffled while I was just doing the test recording there. What did you say? What did you just say?
I said this film was a treat.
What film's that, Eden?
My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Thank you. I thought you were gonna mess up the title. Then you can't forget the 3D.
The 3D is highly important and integral.
Yeah.
Did you watch it in 3D?
God no.
Anybody?
Oh, I did when I went to the cinema to see it.
Back in the day.
Yeah, we were talking about cold opens last time. No, this is a straight into this episode. Welcome back to the Dreadcast, folks. This right here is episode of the Dreadcast, a horror podcast that we do, two crazy kooks.
The weekly horror podcast.
The weekly horror podcast is episode 72, folks. You all knew
72.
that. You all knew that.
On the ball. There
you
we
all
go.
knew.
Seamless.
We're on the ball.
Episode 72.
Yes, I am Tom, and this is the lovely Aidan. And
Hello.
yes, welcome back to the Dreadcast. We've got a treat today. We've got a treat. When was we haven't done what I would like to just sum up as a big hitter, for a long time. A good
film.
Fun horror film. A good film.
We haven't done a good film.
Do you know what? I think the last one we probably had a good consensus of was probably Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yes.
And before that, Thanksgiving. Other than that, it was Christmas Bloody Christmas, Advent Calendar, the horror wrap-up, Wolfman. The monsters don't really count in my opinion, but I think we need a month soon where we just banger after banger. Yeah, I think we need to come up again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's probably about time we do another classic. Generally accepted, this is a good film.
Well, you did want to do Nightmare, so...
I did want to do Nightmare.
Yeah.
But I realised that Nightmare has been done before.
Not with you.
Joining this...
Not with you, sir.
This cursed ship of the damned.
Yeah, not with you, so we can look into that. The reason I bring that up is because I have so many complaints for today's episode. I have so many questions and complaints.
This was your pick.
I know it was, and I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
not.
Yeah, because of the content we're getting out of it, I guess.
Exactly. It's mid 2000s rubbish slasher.
Absolute rubbish.
And it's
for the most part.
For the most part, it's on point. It's on trend. It fits. It is Valentine's Day soon. It probably will have just been by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah. So today, we are discussing My Bloody Valentine 3D from 2009. Before we get into it, though, do you have anything you want to bring to the table? Because I personally don't this week.
No.
My week has been life and work. I've barely checked news.
Yes. Same.
Same.
So it's a good job we don't really have a dedicated news portion of this podcast.
Or that anyone will care. I would say, folks, if you're interested, go to bloodydisgusting.com. That's where we get all our news from anyway.
I mean, yeah, we do just rip it off.
Just go there and you'll
to be perfect, like, half the time I don't even read the articles. I just see a headline and go, oh, I'm going to mention that on the pod.
Yeah. Oh, we'll bring that. We'll steal that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I personally didn't really have anything that caught my eye this week. Do you know what? One thing I did nearly do. Got paid this week and been a bit of debt. But I'm not in trouble, folks. Don't worry. We're not setting up the Patreon just yet.
No.
But the debt is starting to be cleared. So that means when I start to get paid now weekly, I can start to do the odd treat. I haven't treated myself in months. And the one thing that's been in my mind the last couple of weeks, I just want to treat myself, and I think I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to get that Wishmaster 4K collection. Or Blu-ray collection. Because it's only, I believe it's only like 30 quid.
I think it's about that. Yeah.
So I think that would be great because, again, that's another series I want us to get back into because I had so much fun doing Wishmaster 1.
Yeah, you can get it for about 30 quid, just under. Yeah. Oh, actually, I do have some news.
Oh my god!
I do have, and it links to a conversation we had about franchises and how long it takes for them to go to space. Have you seen I think I sent it to you. Don Mancini, creator of the Child's Play franchise, talking about sending Chucky to space.
Yes, I did briefly see that. Yeah. Okay, so it's happening. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And I'm all for it.
How does that go?
I mean...
How do we get there?
God knows. I mean, I'm behind... I don't think you've watched any of it, have you? Any of the series?
No. Not touched the series at all.
But he ends up in the White House in the third series of the TV show.
Sure.
So at this point, kind of anything can happen. But this is a bit for the movie franchise. Although, having said that, the TV series is canon. It follows on. So yeah, Mancini posed the idea of Chucky going to outer space as the next move for the franchise.
Yeah.
Creator argued he could probably go anywhere as the villain operates successfully in all kinds of different tones and subgenres. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how or why, but it doesn't matter. I'd see it.
What about? Well, again, I don't know how they would get there because I've not seen the show. Mm-hmm. But what about if one of the astronauts has a son that has the doll and goes up to the ISS with it, like wants to take it to space with him so he can show that his doll's in space, be a cool father, and then all hell breaks loose. Woo!
I mean, yeah, something like that, or one of the astronauts is Chucky's after one of the astronauts for some reason and stores away. But yeah, like, why not? I mean,
why not?
There's no reason for any horror unless it starts in space. There's never really any reason for any horror franchise or any movie franchise to just randomly go to space. But
no, because of how hard it is to get there. It's not a common. People can't just go to space. Okay?
I mean, just do Jason X, but with Chucky. So just have him cryogenically frozen in some unexplained lab somewhere, and then space future scavengers take him off, and he runs rampant on a spaceship.
Yeah, it's probably easier to do if you're not basing it in reality with NASA, like SpaceX and the ISS.
Yeah.
If you do
future
go
space.
down, future space. That's just, you can be
Future
creative
space
as you
is
want.
easier because the travel time is significantly less, and you can invent any old MacGuffin, can't you? The teleporters now. Chucky,
they could go down the Bobo route from Simpsons. Mr. Burns is it Bobo? Mr. Burns' teddy bear. Like, it gets frozen, it gets discovered in the future.
Yeah. And
this kid grows up to be an astronaut, and he's loved Chucky all this time and takes it with him. Maybe. Yeah, something like that.
I don't know, but I kind of hope that it'd happen because I'd watch it. I think it'd be fun. They could just sort of take it non-canon and do one in space. Like I say, just set it a couple of 100 years in the future.
How do you get Jennifer Tilly involved in that?
She's frozen too. Jennifer Tilly is frozen. She's the first celebrity to be cryogenically frozen, and one of the items she has in her little capsule with her is the Chucky doll.
All right, I'm in. We can
I
write
mean, it's
this. We can
only
write
as ridiculous as her being kidnapped to be a surrogate mother for the child in Seed.
Yeah. Oh wow. Wait, have I? I don't think I've seen Seed. I've seen Bride of Chucky.
Yeah.
Where she becomes the doll itself, but I don't think I ever saw Seed.
So Seed, we've got Jennifer Tilly
Yeah.
voicing Tiffany and essentially playing Tiffany as the real life version. But then Chucky and Tiffany kidnap Jennifer Tilly to basically they're choosing who they want to be the surrogate mother for their child.
Yeah.
And Tiffany chooses Jennifer Tilly because she's a big fan.
Well,
So
that's
it's all
fair enough.
very meta and ridiculous and round and round. But yeah, why not?
Is that a franchise that you're way more familiar than me? But we've talked about franchises before where I think we've both said Evil Dead doesn't have a bad film in the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you feel about Army of Darkness, it's hella fun.
Yeah.
It might not be Evil Dead, but it's hella fun.
Yeah,
Does the Chucky, taking away the TV shows, does the Chucky series have a bad film? And probably that remake.
A lot of people don't like 3. A lot of people see 3 is the weaker. And funnily enough, I was reading, I think it might have been on the back of this Don Mancini tweet. And I was reading a couple of other replies and tweets and stuff. And I think it's probably fair to say that if you're a fan of the franchise generally, people will say that there isn't really a duff one. I think the third one is probably most people's least favourite. But
what about the Aubrey Plaza one with the new look?
Yeah, but that's not the same franchise.
Oh, we're okay. That's its own. Okay,
yeah, that's its own thing because that's different cast, different director. That's unnecessary reboot territory. But
we're familiar with those.
But yeah, I think generally, even with the TV show, I think a lot of people are keen on it, fans of it, and I think Chucky has done well to work as like a sort of straight horror and then dip into the more comedic side of things and then gone back to horror, and then the TV show's like a good mix of both. So yeah, I think it's a strong contender for a franchise that doesn't really have a bad film. Interesting,
because I mean that's hard to come across these days.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, like I say, feel free to disagree with me, but I'd fight that corner.
Hey, if someone wanted to disagree with you on the opinion of whether or not the Chucky franchise has a good or bad film, how if I was an audience member, a listener to this podcast, how do I get in touch to let you know my frustrations of what you've just said?
You could go to hell, or you can email the podcast.
Don't tell them to do that. We need
the Dreadcast podcast. Well, my opinion is final. You can email us at the dreadcastpodcast@gmail.com. And I promise, even if you contradict my thoughts, feelings, and opinions, we'll still read your messages and send you a nice reply.
But we'll send you a reply. I'm not writing back to these people.
The reply might be go to hell, but
no, I'm not reply. I will reply vocally in the podcast, but
yes,
I'm not Santa over here. I'm not writing back to people. Right.
Far too busy.
On top of that, folks, you know the usual score. You can check this episode out and all past content on YouTube by searching the Dreadcast and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Podbean, and for now Google Podcasts. But we've been informed by a whistleblower that
deep throat.
That apparently Google Podcasts is ceasing to exist soon. Is it a case of they are migrating to YouTube?
I don't know, in short.
Okay.
Friend and listener of the podcast, Tiresome Mike.
Shout out.
Yeah, sent me a message because he's a listener through Google, and he sent us a message to let us know that Google Podcast is ceasing to be a thing relatively soon. I can't quite remember just if you knew just when. I don't know if there's going to be a direct replacement from Google, whether they're just reformatting it or whether they're doing away with the service altogether. But I mean, as we've said, there are plenty of other ways and means of listening to or watching the Dreadcast.
Plenty.
But yeah, it could be that the Google Podcast platform is soon to be defunct, and we're still not quite sure what we're going to do, whether we find an alternative platform to swap out for it, or whether we just let it go away. We haven't quite made that decision, but yeah, just something to be aware of if you are a regular listener via Google.
Yeah, well, I will say if you do listen to Google, you have the other options which I just listed. But what I will be implementing very soon is ways to listen to it via Samsung Podcasts. I assume I've never used it myself, but I assume it's like Apple Podcasts, their own.
Oh yeah, probably.
hosting for site for podcasts. So if you have a Samsung phone, and also a service called TuneIn plus Alexa, and you'll be able to listen to it through your Amazon Echo devices. So, the good and the bad, we come with some more. The thing is, because we host this through Podbean, I think it's an American hosted podcast hosting website. So some of these podcast apps they allow you to use, I believe, are more American, like iHeartRadio, which I think is an American service, Player FM, Podchaser, Boomplay. I've never heard of any of these.
Can't say that I have.
So, but yeah, we can always look into it, and there's plenty of options there if you don't use Google and you want to migrate to something else. So, just a heads up, everyone there. All right. So today's film is, as we've said before, and it's in the title. You know that you know what film we're talking about, unless once again you have tripped over and fallen into this podcast. You accidentally clicked it while falling in. Oh, what's happening? Well, yes, My Bloody Valentine 3D from 2009, the remake of My Bloody Valentine from 1981, released 43 years ago to this very day.
Oh, really?
The 11th of February. Yep.
Well, isn't that a nice little coinkydink?
Oh, it's a hell of a coincidence because there's no way I planned this.
We did not
There's
know,
no way
usual.
we planned this.
We did not know. In fact,
no.
The fact that this is going to be released around Valentine's Day is probably... I don't know how planned that is either.
I tried to get it around mid-February. It wasn't because February, what's going on? Valentine's Day. It's that's a holiday theme. We did the infamous Valentine last year.
Valentine.
Loved it. Film of the show.
I was wearing my t-shirt last week.
Of course you were. It's if you tell someone, do you listen to the Dreadcast? Oh, the one that did Valentine. Yeah. What else are they going to say? So, yeah. So we went for My Bloody Valentine, but we can't do the original because the original's good. I really like the original. It's a great underrated slasher. Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, because
but I will.
I think you'll like it.
I've just been having a little squiz at a plot synopsis for it just to see
it's different.
How different it was to the 2009 version, and yeah, it's radically different by the looks of it. So I will be hunting that down and checking that out soon.
Yeah,
going into this, I have not seen it, so.
But you had seen this film before.
I'm pretty sure I had.
Yeah.
Certainly bits of it, because there was definite sort of sequences and scenes where I was like, oh yeah, I've seen this. I know I've seen this. And then there were other bits of it that were just like, might as well have been completely new to me. I can't say that I remembered a lot of it. There were bits where I was like, oh yeah, I know this. And I knew the ending and stuff. But yeah, fairly sure I'd seen it before, but wouldn't stake my life on it.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. It's certainly a film. It followed the trend of the mid 2000s to late 2000s remake boom.
Yeah.
I think a year after this, we got the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, 2010. The awful one. I mean, they all kind of started with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, 2003, I believe. And then we just got one more after the other. And then this, it was I want to say the height, but the height of the fad of 3D.
Yeah.
Not your blue and red 3D. Your new fancy. Oh my god! It's literally coming at me 3D.
Yeah.
The problem with
a few shots in this that are just obvious. Like we need a 3D moment here.
Yeah,
So-
which well, from what I've read up, became a very critical review of this film. That okay, we get the idea. You're implementing the 3D in the film, but now you're just doing it for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Now you're.
But
just...
this is what I mean. I mean, without watching it in 3D, and it's difficult to say. There are those obvious like things, you know, the pickaxe coming at you. There's a bit with a tree stump or tree branch or whatever. There's a few like really obvious things, but they're kind of few and far between generally.
Yeah, it's not like every minute. It's not all the time. Yeah,
which you wouldn't necessarily want those bit, but without the rest of the 3D effects in there, it's difficult to. They're the only, without watching it in 3D, they're the only really markers that this was a 3D film, and they're quite few and far between. So yeah, it'd be interesting to try and watch it. I mean, I don't even know how you'd go about watching a 3D film in 3D these days, but
I mean, you could use these.
Do you still need a 3D TV though?
Oh my god! Oh wow, man! I bought these Friday night just for the bit on Amazon.
Just to do that. This is a
I got
solid one,
loads.
by the way.
Oh my god! How was this, folks? For the audio listeners, I bought blue and red 3D glasses.
The old classic blue. You look like an extra from Back to the Future.
How was this a viable thing to watch a film for an hour and a half? My eyes are hurting already. I can't even do the bit. Ugh.
It never was. I mean, they tried it. They tried it back in the 80s, didn't they?
Yeah.
There was a
wow.
Friday. Was it the third Friday?
Yeah, because 3D.
3D.
Yeah, where you got like the eyeball to the screen and the skewer. Yeah.
So they tried it back then, and it was a gimmick for a while, and then it died off. And then they tried it again in the 2000s, and it was a gimmick for a while, and then it died off. And then we had the 3D TV, like the home 3D TV.
Whoever bought for a 3D TV, you were scammed. Absolutely scammed.
A friend of mine had one. And it was quite cool to watch. Like there were some shows, like nature documentaries in particular, were really nice to watch with the 3D effect.
Well, nature documentaries are always the go-to for just testing a TV.
Yeah,
a TV's
because they're always brightly coloured and nice and things. But again, I think we watched like a couple of movies, sat in a house with 3D glasses on. But generally, you're just not bothering.
No.
I don't want to watch Coronation Street 3D. I mean, I don't want to watch Coronation Street full stop, but I don't want to watch it in 3D. Like, you know what I mean? There's just it is and has always been a gimmick that they just try it again every once in a while, just to sort of go, hey, remember we can do this? And I mean, the big one was Avatar, wasn't it? That was filmed entirely in 3D and made to be a 3D movie.
I believe the newer ones still are.
Mm.
They're still keeping it on. Do you know what? The best use of 3D film I've ever seen in the cinema was Jackass 3D.
Oh, really?
Because it used it so well. It wasn't like everyone was trying to be in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
It was, there's I think he maybe had a scorpion or something and then held it to the camera. Or there was the dildo flying across the screen. It was little bits, but it was funny and it worked. They used it sparingly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dread was really good.
Dread, yes.
Dread was really good in 3D, especially with the slow-mo effects.
The Resident Evil films bastardized that 3D eventually.
Mm.
The bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. But also with this film, did you notice... see, with this film, I didn't actually take notes in the sense of the way the story went with this film. I didn't really to take my notes for that, like for this film, like we would normally go through the film bit by bit. The frame rate of this film it's shot like a soap opera in a way. I don't know if you caught that, like the way.
I didn't know. I didn't really pick up on that. I'd say I didn't. No, I do, and this it might be the fact that Jensen Ackles is in it, but I did feel a lot of it felt more like TV, and I felt like I was watching an episode of Supernatural. But a big part of that is probably the fact that it's Jensen Ackles, and that's the main thing I know him from.
He's not a good actor.
He does one thing very well,
which
is Dean Winchester. That's basically it. And
the character from Supernatural.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
There's not really much like depth to him.
But the frame rate plus the 3D, I don't know. There was just every now and then some somewhat sort of motion blur. It felt very. I don't know. Yeah, it felt very made for TV. It didn't come across like a big budget. I mean, big budget Hollywood film. And speaking of the budget, this film cost 14 million and made bank. 100 million.
Wow. How did it cost 40 million?
14. 1 4.
Oh, 14.
Yeah.
How did it cost 14 million?
That probably on the 3D effects, probably.
Oh, well, yeah. Because I mean, it's mostly just shot in a tunnel, and you need a gas mask. It's like...
all the money went towards that helicopter, getting all those shots of the town. We've got a day with this helicopter. Just fly around this town and get all these shots of that bridge going over the river and the town.
That happened a lot.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's the transition shots.
I think I'd not picked up on it, but now you mentioned it. It's like, there are
all the time.
There are a lot of shots. It's like they were shoot some extra footage for the wherever tourist board. Just going back.
Yeah, go
on. To what you were saying about this being in sort of the middle of the 2000s remake boom. I'm just having a look at a list of 2000
go
remakes.
for it.
There are a lot. Last House on the Left got a remake. Dawn of the Dead, House of Wax, Prom Night, Hills of Eyes, The Omen.
Slow down. So Dawn of the Dead is good. I like Dawn of the Dead. It's Zack Snyder's best film.
Yeah,
it's his first film. House of Wax. Yeah,
it had Paris Hilton in it, didn't it? And that was the big draw for that one.
I don't think I ever saw the Last House on the Left remake.
No, I don't. I didn't either.
What else are we looking at then?
Prom Night.
Oh no, I didn't see that. Ugh.
I didn't. The Hills of Eyes.
That
which I did see. I liked.
Great. That is that's a tough watch at times.
The Omen. Not very good.
No.
Not very good. Doesn't really do anything different. This, My Bloody Valentine, obviously.
Yep.
What else is there? Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh, yes. It's partial to it.
I like the first one.
I
the
do.
Sequel, not so much.
Oh, no.
Actually, sorry. It was the sequel.
They both came out at the side, didn't they, in the 2000s?
They must have done, yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at this list on Google, and it's showing me the poster for Halloween 2, but it's telling me it's the first film, so I'm not too sure. Well, they probably both did come out in the...
I believe they did, yeah.
The Amityville Horror.
Oh, with Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
13 Ghosts.
I quite like 13 Ghosts.
Which I've never seen. A lot of people like it. It comes up quite a lot.
I quite like
one of those things.
things.
That was really early 2001. The Wick Man.
Not the bees.
Not saying anything about that.
Not the bees.
But then we also got Friday the 13th.
I wasn't a fan of that.
No. Which has Jared Padalecki in it.
Yep.
The other Winchester brother. So, and I did look it up as well. Supernatural had been running for like 3 or 4 years, I think, by this point. So they both briefly took a step out to star in a
very
mediocre
horror films,
and then go
right back to
Supernatural. 11 series of Supernatural. What else? Yeah, sorry, Halloween 1 and 2 are both in there. Carrie.
Oh yes, I think I may have watched that on Sci-Fi Channel one night. Oh no, wait, I'm thinking of the Carrie sequel, Carrie 2.
Oh, Carrie 2: The Rage.
Yeah, that's really bad.
And that is just about it for that list. I mean, I'm not saying that it's entirely That was all of them, but that's the list that Google just throws up.
It's quite a boom.
And that is quite a lot.
It's quite a boom.
There are a few others. April Fool's Day, I feel like that's probably a remake.
No, there was a remake to April Fool's Day?
April
shit.
Fool's Day 2008. I feel like that has an original from the...
It does. We did it on the podcast.
70s or 80s.
It's great. It's fantastic. April Fool's Day. Oh no, 3.7 out of 10. Oh no.
So yeah, there's a bunch of others. So like, yeah, just to highlight that was very, very, very much a trend.
Yeah.
In the 2000s to just churn out glossy remakes of 80s, 70s slasher films, and not really do. I say there was a couple of decent ones, but I think.
I mean, the most decent one was the first of that boom, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So, what did you think? You said you'd seen this before?
I'm fairly sure. I was fairly certain that I had, but I didn't remember a whole lot of it. So it did largely feel like watching it for the first time. It's a dumb mid-2000s slasher film.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. It's a decent popcorn movie. It's not great, but it's one of those movies to do this with. Watch with your mates over a few beers and take the piss out of. Pick holes in it.
Take the piss. There are so many flaws though as well. There are so many things wrong. There are things that don't make sense, and I have a section later on that I'm going to get into with you that is about the lighting. Whoever was head of lighting on this film, I need to talk.
They've never been down a mine shaft in their lives.
The lighting in the woods.
In the woods. Oh, right.
I have screenshots, and we're going to go through them.
Okay. So, yeah, it's, it's if I'd have been to the cinema and then I was going out for a few beers afterwards, and we'd chop it up, shoot the shit over it, and talk about it. I'd feel like it was a decent night out. It's certainly not one that I'd really feel I need to watch again.
No. If I would say I would not recommend this film at all. No. I would recommend the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like, because there's only one film, it's not like a franchise, the original film. The look of the killer, the miner with the pickaxe and the gas mask, it doesn't get enough play in like enough imagery. You don't never really see that.
No. I mean, it's fairly. Oh, actually, just before we continue,
yeah.
Where did we watch this? Where did you watch the movie? Entirely legal and
entirely legal source on the interwebs.
It is available for rent.
It is on Shudder,
YouTube, and Amazon.
Yes,
but you could probably, if you really wanted to see it, you could probably walk into your nearest CEX or charity shop and find a copy of it. Although, when I went looking yesterday, because I thought if I can find it for £1 in CEX, I'll just get it. I swear to God, on any given day, there'd be like 40 copies of it on the shelves, and there was not a single one at all, which was a little bit annoying. But I imagine, generally,
found it.
You'll happen across it.
CX, My Bloody Valentine plus glasses for £1.
There you go. That is a bargain.
Yeah, but I don't think you need to really. Oh, it's $2.50 on Blu-ray.
I mean, and both of those, to be honest, are still cheaper than renting it off Amazon. So
it is actually. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Cost me an entire £3.50 to watch this. Man,
I could have just shared it with you with the source that I acquired it from.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think I may have a copy of this on DVD, but I just could not be bothered going through the back of the shelves and getting things out and looking for it.
That's not the commitment we want to hear. That's not what we want to hear.
I paid currency for a film that I may already own. So that is commitment.
You've given them revenue for this film. Okay, so yeah, like you said at the beginning, the story of this film is very different to the first film. This is very much more kind of revenge generic slasher story towards it. But if you don't pay attention within the first few minutes, which I don't think I did, because I started thinking to myself, where's the exposition? Where's the backstory as to why a killer is killing people? That is right at the beginning.
Yeah.
In the opening, what looks like a title crawl, but it's 3D effect newspaper clippings coming at you and a narrator saying what's happened
various
in the mine.
Audio clips from news reports talking about.
And it's key.
It is key information. Yeah.
Really key.
Because
go on.
All of that, really, if you're not paying attention to it, because we get time skips and there's quite a lot goes on that sort of sets it up.
Those fucking time skips where the main time skip, which is a 10-year difference, no one looks any different.
No one looks any different.
And especially our main lead, Jensen Ackles, you said his name was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jensen Ackles.
Doesn't look any different.
Tom
10 years.
Hanniger. Tom Hanniger.
Who is
actually the only person that does look different is Axel, the chief of police.
Yes, played by Kerr Smith from Final Destination 1. He has a beard. Looks
like Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 in the opening scene with the t-shirt, the long sleeve over the short sleeve t-shirt over the long sleeve tee, which is a look I miss. I used to love rocking a double t-shirt.
I'd always rock a long sleeve under a short sleeve.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, with his sort of like spiky emo haircut and his 6-pack of beer, and then he transforms into the chief of police. Barely looks a day out of like high school, really. He's
the sheriff, and he's grown a beard. That is what's happened in 10 years. And when he's got married and had a kid with Jensen Ackles' ex. So Jensen Ackles plays Tom Hanniger?
Hanniger.
Yeah. Who is basically the son of the owner of said mine, where an incident occurs, which we told about at the beginning of the film. And the incident being, see, this is where I started getting confused. The incident being, do you have any more clarity on this?
It's a cave-in, basically. There's an explosion. There's an explosion in the mine. It causes a cave-in, and I think it's like 5 people are trapped.
Yeah.
One of them goes crazy, kills the other survivors, and then they sort of extract him. He's the killer is in a coma, and then he wakes up and massacres everybody else, and the police shoot him dead.
Yes, back in the mine, because
back in the mine,
our young teens are having a party in the mine, but he's in the mine.
So, but this is one of the first issues. So the original collapse of the mine is Tom's fault. He was working in there and he didn't vent some methane or something.
Yeah.
So there's an explosion that causes a cave-in, and then it cuts to the sexy teens having the party in the mine. Tom being one of them. It can't be that long after the actual accident.
No.
I mean, what's he called? Something Warden. The original killer.
Okay, his name's Harry Warden. Yeah, he was one of the miners that went.
Yeah, so he's in a coma in the hospital. But and then he wakes up and heads back to the mine, and this is where we get the sort of first murders of the movie. But it can't be that long after the accident. How long has he been in a coma for? A month? A few weeks? Like, so the sexy teens are going to party in the mine shaft where this horrific, like, serial mass murders happen. Like 5 people have been killed, and then they've just like presumably shut the mine briefly. Teens having a party, and an accident that Tom is responsible for as well. And
this is what bothered me about this film: that the time management of where everything fits in. It didn't work. It didn't make sense half the time.
No,
because we don't really know his age. Like, are they sort of late teens, early 20s at the party? And if so, how old was Tom when he was in the mine and was part of the accident himself? So
I mean, I think so.
He does state.
Well, they
he
kind of come across as being high school students, but
Yeah.
like I say, he was working in the mine. It was his job. I mean, okay, it could have been an after school job, but most kids are stocking shelves in Tesco or flipping burgers in McDonald's, not venting methane in a mine shaft.
I mean, he states I grew up in these mines.
I mean, it's the family. It's his family's mine. It's his.
We never see his
so,
father.
His father's dead, isn't it?
Yeah,
we see him
yeah.
in a box.
Yeah.
Box of ashes. So I don't think we ever actually see him. No, maybe as a photograph in one of those, in the montage at the beginning. But yeah, not as a walking, talking character.
But yeah, this is what I was saying. If you don't fully pay attention to that opening crawl of the newspaper clippings and the story, which I get, I freely admit, I don't think I did probably pay attention to it. So I went back and checked it out earlier just to make sure. And yeah, I don't think I paid attention because I think in my mind, I saw that and thought, okay, this is just a opening credits. Yeah, with the actors coming through. Boom, boom. So I don't think I paid attention properly. So for most of the film, I'm thinking, why is he so obsessed with this? Why is Tom so obsessed with this? And what's the significance of Harry Warden?
Yeah.
Who is this guy? Are we going to get a backstory on him? So, well, we did, but it was instantly right at the beginning.
It is, and it does. Yeah, it explains that he killed his fellow. There was a collapse that trapped Warden being one of them.
Yeah,
and he killed his fellow survivors to conserve his heir.
Yeah,
but he was unconscious and he was in a coma when they rescue him. Because then we cut to him in the hospital, and I just want to talk about that nurse comes in to check on him.
Are you going to say exactly what I'm about to say?
That she checks the IV before she realizes there's nobody in the bed.
Fucking amazing. That was my first note. How did the nurse not see
any
him?
Situation where you walk into a room and there's a person lying on a bed or lying on a sofa or something like that, you will definitely see a human being, full size, and he's a big dude as well. He's a big,
Huge.
like, plus 6 foot guy, like, in this bed, and she manages to walk in, check the IV before she realizes the bed she stood right next to has nobody in.
It's fantastic. It's superb. There's a couple of funny shots like this in the film that are really badly done, and not so much shots, but also placement of characters that don't make sense. Like we'll get to it. Like our killer in the supermarket who has super speed to get around the back, and we'll get to that. But the nurse, for instance, like your field of view as a human. For instance, where I'm sitting right now, I can see the furthest left is this curtain here. My furthest right, as I'm looking straight, is pretty much the wall there, so I can see near enough 180 degrees, sort of.
Yeah.
She just somehow misses it.
I mean, the shot should be she walks in and runs to reveal an empty bed, like, oh, he's gone, this guy that's in a coma. But no, she actually goes through checking the IV.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
And the thing with the room itself, she walks in. So let's say the bed is to her front left. Let's say there's a few beds in the right, but the bed to Harry Warden is the front left. And there's another bed to the right. His bed does have a curtain, but it is open, so she'd be able to see that bed straight away. When the camera pans around to her right after she's discovered he's missing, we see Harry Warden sitting in the bed behind him, where he was.
Behind the curtain.
She would have been able to see that as well.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
So it's at this point he goes nuts, and we don't see a great deal, but we see the aftermath of it, and there are bodies everywhere.
It's ridiculous.
It is like
absurd.
somebody. It's like they just got a bunch of mannequin parts, hurled them into the room, and then hurled a bucket of fake blood in afterwards. I went, right, that's the set dress. Bring in the actors. There are hot people cut in half. There are arms dangling from things. There's blood absolutely everywhere. Is it the mayor and the current chief of police?
It is Mr. Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
Great to see him. Yeah, I believe it is the mayor. We'll double check that.
Yeah, Kevin Teague, isn't it? Ben Foley. And there's a wonderfully cheesy bit of dialogue where it's like, "Oh, Harry Warden, he was in a coma." And he's like, "Well, I guess he woke up."
There's some gems of dialogue in this
Hugh
film.
Sunglasses, yeah.
There are some absolute gems of dialogue in this film.
And that's when we cut to the sexy teens partying in the mine shaft. But this is also the first instance where we see a heart in a candy box.
In the box, yeah. Now that is a aspect from the original.
Yeah, that makes sense in the original from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Because it's all centered around there being a Valentine's dance and Valentine's being the central theme to it.
Exactly.
Whereas in this, it is not relevant whatsoever. We see a heart in a box in one scene. The police chief, Axel, gets sent one later on. And a couple of kills are staged. It's like with a Be Mine and this Halloween thing.
Yeah.
And then there's the bit with like finding the stash of candy boxes later on. But it's only in there as like a nod to the original because it's not relevant. Like she finds that stash of boxes. You know what I mean? It's not. Not made enough to be it happens once or twice. It's not frequent enough to be the killer's calling card. Because the vast majority of kills have none of this Halloween, none of this Valentine imagery at all.
No, the only relevance is the fact that the incident to begin with happened on Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's not.
But it's barely mentioned. It's not relevant at all.
No, it's not. It's not at all. There's no other aspects to Valentine's Day really whatsoever that I can really remember. And I watched this film 2 days ago. But then again, I did miss the beginning, so... we get our first...
Yeah, we get the sexy teens killed. There's some good kills in this bit. We get the pickaxe, eyeball.
It all happens very quickly.
It does happen very quickly.
Very quickly, because our lead girl at this point, what is her name? Sarah,
Jamie King, Sarah.
She's walking through the mine, looking for... Who's she looking
for? Somebody, I couldn't quite work out who it is that she's meant to be looking for. Like, it's just another friend of theirs, isn't it, I think?
But as she's walking, the scene transitions to another scene of her walking. Like a sort of fade. No, she's got a torch. Wait. Now, I don't know if that fade in and fade out, or just transition, is meant to imply that she's been walking down this mine for a long time. Because, in my opinion, it wasn't. So she's been walking through this mine for about 20 seconds. And suddenly, there's bodies everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's been a party occurring. So this has all happened very quickly. Harry Warden, quote unquote, Harry Warden. Actually, no, this is Harry Warden right now. Has massacred all these people very quickly without her knowing. Like I said, again, it's a time management thing that just doesn't make sense in this film. And the first kill with the little Joker boy that pops out to try and scare her.
It's that classic. Oh, I'm pretending to be the killer. Yeah,
he gets the first pickaxe to the head,
and then gets killed, gets off by the actual killer. Yeah, pickaxe to the head and his eyeball.
Whoa!
And that's our first 3D bit. The shovel decapitation is also good though.
That is good. That is good.
The other friend whose name I just did not catch, but one of the other teen girls that's in there gets pinned to a prop with a shovel in the mouth, and then we get this CGI top part of the head sliding down. Yeah, it's pretty gruesome. It's pretty cool because there's not a lot of variation in the kills.
No, the kills are very mundane.
It's all, it's 101 ways to kill somebody with a pickaxe.
Yeah.
They're pretty much all pickaxe deaths. It varies slightly in which part of the head they're hitting, more or less. But it's not like you get a vast array of people killed in any sort of fun.
There's not much creativity.
Ways.
No, there isn't much creativity.
They're all
at all.
pickaxe kills, near enough. Apart from this one shovel one.
Yeah. The thing with this scene though, like they're having the party in the mine. So the character we just mentioned, Sarah, walking through, lost, looking for someone. She is the current girlfriend of Tom, and he goes back to the truck to get some beer. And this is again what I mean by time. He's just gone back to the truck to get beer. They're about 30-second walk from the truck at the entrance still, and she's gone. She's walking off down the. But all this happened. He just went to get some beer, and they're all massacred. Tom comes back to find her, and they're all these kids are massacred. Axel's there, right? Axel and his current girlfriend, who
she's the one that gets shovel.
She's the one that gets shovel killed. Yeah. No, she's not, because does he not run off with her, Sarah, and her at the end? All three of them.
They're hiding behind that pillar as Harry Warden walks past, and then that other kid turns up. Yeah, and he's shouting of them. And he turns around and somehow they doesn't see them hiding behind that pillar. It's very weird how Harry manages to miss them.
Yeah.
And then they make a break for it, and I'm pretty sure it's his girlfriend that dies. And then we get another 3D shot with the pickaxe being thrown. And then we get Jensen Ackles, Tom's about to get killed, and then the cops have turned up and they shoot Harry,
and he runs off.
Yeah,
which we get a reason later on as to what actually happened to him. We get an answer to actually what happened to him. So that's kind of our setup for the film.
That's it.
In a way,
we get the 10 years later, and
the 10 years later. God, no one looks any different.
No, well, yeah. So apart from Axel, who looks like a sexy Dewey from Scream.
I was thinking that. I was thinking
that's as soon as he appears on screen, I was like, oh, okay, we've got Dewey but sexy.
I'm not going to do a Dewey impression. If we're all people of culture here, we know how Dewey sounds.
But he looks like him and the deputy both look like they're fresh out of high school. They are.
Yeah, Special Officer Doofus.
Again,
reporting for duty.
I know it's a small town, but I mean, I don't believe that within a couple of years out of school, you're getting the sheriff job. Like
sheriff,
that's not happening, is it?
The fact that Tom Atkins, I believe, was sheriff before him.
Yeah,
because Tom Atkins later on in the film states, "I'm retired now."
That's a terribly cheesy.
It's a bad line.
Do you want to take point? I'm retired. Oh, God, shut up.
But still has his gun out and still patrols the house.
And he's still involved in this. He's not
it's fine.
Watching Quincy with his feet up. He's out and about.
So I guess our next major scene is at the motel, right?
Yes.
We got to talk about this one.
We have to talk about this one.
Yeah.
Just actually before we do, we get that set up that Axel is having an affair.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Which then doesn't really have any relevance to the rest of the film whatsoever. To be fair,
not really.
It's if you took it out, it wouldn't change the film.
No,
not at all.
But yeah, then we have the motel scene. So we have a little bit more set up that Tom's back in town. He's here to basically sell the mine, and it's not a popular opinion because the town relies on the mine. But I don't understand why selling it to a different owner necessarily means that it comes to an end.
No, he's not closing it. He's looking to
he's just selling
move
the ownership.
Yeah. Maybe it comes with the fear that they might then close it and maybe redevelop or whatnot. But
possibly. But that's never straight out said.
No.
It's just that he's selling the mine, and nobody wants him to because they're talking about it like it will definitely be the death of the town. But yeah, so Tom is selling the mine, and then he goes to check in at the motel, and overhears his neighbours having a good old time.
His neighbour? Yeah. Oh,
his neighbour's at the motel.
Oh, at the motel. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yes. Hell of a time.
Frank and Irene.
Yeah, hell of a time, which has something that really bothers me in TV and film when portraying sex. Okay, they have to cover up afterwards. They got to use the duvet to cover up.
Not if you're Betsy Roo.
He covers up a little.
No, she doesn't. She puts heels on.
She covers up her waist for about 10 seconds, and then she's fine. Then she's fine not to. But this does happen a lot in film and TV. Yeah. You know, cover up. Oh no, gotta cover up. That really bothers me. But he had a secret camera. He was filming her the whole time.
He was.
She thinks she's not a hooker. Still gives him money anyway. He's just a truck driver.
Yeah, she's. And he's Axel's ex, isn't he? She's
Axel's ex. Yes, yes.
But again, kind of irrelevant. But apart from it, just gives him an excuse to watch the sex tape over and over and over again because it's evidence. But yeah, she says she's not a hooker, and they have this exchange whereby he basically says, "Well, you know, I videotaped it, and I'm keeping the tape, and here's some money, and I'm out of here." And yeah, she runs around in completely naked, nothing but heels. Goes and gets a gun. she's ready for popping caps to get this.
Which he
sex
knows
tape
is
back.
not loaded.
It's odd, isn't it? And it's basically just an extended excuse to have a naked woman running around for
naked woman and reason for another kill.
Mm-hmm.
It does come back to it when Axel and the police recover the videotape and they're using it as evidence, like you said. It's an excuse to see, okay, Tom's there. Why was Tom there? And the killer was there. Why? What's going on here? What's the link?
You briefly get a view that Tom was picked up on the video tape because they're having sex in a motel room with the curtains wide open.
Yep.
And he's videotaping it. That's like that. I mean, we're not kink shaming by any stretch, but that's ticking off quite a few proclivities there, I think.
It's ballsy. It's ballsy. In so many words.
So yeah, Tom briefly gets caught, and like you say, later on it becomes like one of the reasons why they can make him the prime suspect. We get I
mean, even the kill isn't that creative.
We get a couple more kills. I mean, the proprietor of the motel, the landlady, she gets sort of pinned to the ceiling, hooked up with a pickaxe through the jaw, pinned to the ceiling, and then Irene is sort of hiding behind a metal bed frame.
Yeah, I wrote that. Who knew a metal bed frame could, bed frame will shield you from a pickaxe murderer?
Yeah.
What was the guy's name again? Bald guy that was videotaping her. Did you catch
Jack?
That?
I think.
I mean, it's not that important really, but he gets, like I said about the
Frank the trucker.
The not so creative kills. It's just a pickaxe to the top of the head.
Yeah,
that's all it is. He goes to get into his lorry, and our killer is there, and bang, right on the top of the head, and that's it.
Hang on a minute.
Wait, what? What have we missed?
He is Todd Farmer. He wrote this.
Really?
Yeah, he wrote this.
Oh yeah, it is.
He also wrote Jason X as well.
Of course he did. Of course he did. Yeah.
So basically, he wrote himself a sex scene and the first kill. Well, not the first kill, but he wrote himself an extensive videotape sex scene in his own movie.
Yes, because he was in it. Oh no.
Fair play that man. Well done.
He wrote the Messengers. He wrote Drive Angry. Oh god. Yeah, that's a hell of a career he had going for him there. The last film was Trick. Oh. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a pickaxe to the head and he's gone. Got himself a nice little payday there, I guess.
Yeah.
He wrote himself a nice little payday. And yeah, there's a massacre at the motel basically, then they all get kicked off. where do we go to next? Like I said, I didn't take
Next.
too many films for shot. I took notes on specific moments really that happened. Oh, one thing. Did you catch the music of this motel scene?
No, I didn't.
Where it's specifically the point where he has gone off to his truck. She is angry, grabbed the gun, and going to walk after him. The music is so out of context for the film. It's kind of uplifting and like bubbly. It's really weird. I
can't say
I will put it right now, folks, in the audio listener so you can hear it.
I'm just.
There we go.
I'm just looking at the soundtrack actually, just to see if it's our usual 2000s.
Oh, the artists
stuff, and there's not Powerwolf have a song in this, but apart from that, there's nothing that jumps out as being particularly of its time. And like I say, I don't recall hearing anything that was necessarily either. So yeah, immediately after this scene is when Axel gets the heart in the box delivered to the police station. Yeah, and they mention that like the heart in the box is his trademark, but it's Harry. It must be Harry. It's his trademark. It's like not really. He didn't.
No.
As far as they're concerned, it happened once, and it was in a room full of dismembered bodies. Like it's not,
such an assumption.
Yeah, it is a bit of a leap. And Sarah sort of comes across Axel at home, like watching the sex tape, and it's evidence and rah rah rah. And this is the moment that they spot Tom in the background. Also, why do they have plastic curtains up in their house? Like dividing a room with plastic curtains. Did you notice this?
Yeah, because he's in like an office, his office, right? And she
but it's in their house.
Yeah, I did notice it. I don't have an answer for you.
It's a
because,
weird thing.
It did remind me a bit of in Thanksgiving. There's the young Russian girl in Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We go to her house. That's where she gets killed, and it's been renovated. So there are plastic sheets. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
what my
but
mind was, but.
That's different because that's like hung plastic sheets because presumably you're painting or causing a lot of dust or something. This is like curtain rail, shower curtain, plastic curtains, like just dividing the living room between. I mean, it's an idea. It's not something that I'd go for personally. I was like, what is this?
Is it modern? Is it a modern design? I don't.
He watches his evidence tapes in a plastic tent, which he believes gives him sexual powers. I don't know.
Bravo, sir. Bravo. Oh, fantastic.
It was odd.
We'll just say that is the reason. Let's just say that is the reason.
Because he believes it gives him sexual powers.
Yeah. I think it does. One more thing before we move on to the next. The next, I guess, murder scene is down the mine. But before that, we get something that really bothers me in cheesy horror films is the blood splatter, which I think this happened in the hotel room after she's murdered through the bed frame. The camera cuts to the wall, and we just get a
ridiculous. I've got a note on this as well. Yeah, like 'cause she gets pickaxed in the stomach.
Yeah,
but somehow that causes some ridiculously big arterial spray over the wall.
I hate it.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't match. Like the wound, or it's and there's always like a really weird like time difference between us seeing the attack, and then it's like a couple of seconds, then it cuts to the wall and there's some blood sprays. It's really jarring. I mean,
blood. If there's ever an artery cut, like an instant, blood can fly.
Like 10
pissing
feet
out.
easy. Yeah.
and it always comes out so thick and gloopy. Like, I hate that. I really hate that.
But this is the thing; it doesn't match with the wound that she gets. It's not
No,
like she
no, it
gets
doesn't.
stuck in the neck. She gets like impaled like under the rib cage or something. Yeah.
Anyway, it would work if it was, I guess, a big blade that was sliced quickly across her, and in that motion going towards the wall, it flicks off the knife maybe, or off her body. But yeah, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So it's just it's done for shock value. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is. It's a very slight. It's that sort of thing where you get like a cut of like the outside of wherever the murder's taking place, and it like hit the window, so we know there's been a bad murder.
It really, in summary, this film, it is like a murder mystery slasher film.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's not so much Scream where we don't know who Ghostface is. It is, we are led to believe this is Harry Warden because he runs off.
Yeah. Up to about this point in the movie, we have the scene with Tom he goes to visit the mine.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why actually, but he goes down the mine and yeah.
Well,
Harry Warden turns up.
Previous to this, there's a little scuffle in a bar.
Yes. And again, it's surrounding that this notion that he's gonna sell the mine and it's all gonna be terrible. Yeah, because the chap that escorts him down there is one of the locals.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring that up quickly. Yeah,
which kind of goes nowhere anyway. It's like really something, nothing. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure why he goes to visit the mine, unless it's supposed to be him sort of getting like facing his fears, sort of thing, or.
Yeah, or just checking it out. I mean,
or just go. Yeah, I mean, he does own it, so there's no reason. He doesn't really need a reason to visit it, I suppose. But
I believe it's at this point. This is where he states, "I grew up. I grew up in these mines. I know." Because at one point they say you're not going down there. It's like, come on, man. I grew up in these mines. Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's where we get more of a backstory with him. But yeah, he goes to. So he goes down to the bottom of the mine with gentleman we just mentioned before. That was in the scuffle at the bar. Then Tom walks down a bit further the mine and locks him in this cage.
Yeah, he gets locked in this cage.
And then Harry proceeds to go and kill said gentleman that he had scuffle with in the bar. Brutally, very brutally.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We see a lot of it. While this is happening, Tom's watching in the cage trying to get out. And he's watching the murder happen. And Harry is chopping at the bit, pickaxing this guy. Now, I don't know if you clocked this as well. Actually, before I mention this, we get the scene, the sort of mirrored scene of Harry Warden facing Tom while he's in the cage, and they're looking at each other and mirroring each other as they move. And this is where if you're not really familiar with kind of what's going on, you start to think, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is he imagining this? Is he playing with Tom? What's really going on here? Obviously it will come to light later on.
Yes, it will. But yeah, like you said, this is probably your first big indicator.
Yeah,
that there is something untoward or something slightly unusual happening. And yeah, this is the point where like a bunch of people come and find this guy dead. And Tom locked in a cage, and the police come to investigate it. And it's at this point that it's revealed that it can't possibly be Harry.
Yeah.
Because he definitely was killed and buried in a shallow grave.
Very shallow.
Very
He's buried on some
shallow.
leaves.
I made a note of this. That there is absolute. So they go out, the police and the former police chief and Axel and the mayor and Tom and God knows who else, all sort of wander out to see this grave, and yeah, that hole in the ground is barely It's a slight little.
They spent
dip.
10 minutes. The crew spent 10 minutes digging that hole. That'll do.
It's-
That'll do.
It's next to it's certainly you wouldn't bury a cat in that, let alone like
No.
6'4" minor.
So we're led to believe then that this body has just basically been left there with some leaves scattered on top of it. This rotting corpse has been
just left in the woods. But shock horror, it's disappeared. So maybe
oh
it
my
is
god!
maybe it is Harry after all. And again, it's just a little. It doesn't really go anywhere because
No.
it's shortly after this that we basically just get, for the remainder of the film, Tom blaming Axel and Axel blaming Tom, and
Yeah, back and
that's
forth. Yeah.
back and forth, and with Sarah in the middle of it, and they're trying to. Axel's desperately trying to convince his wife that her former lover is actually is actually the killer, which is a bit rich considering he's having an affair anyway with one of her employees.
Who is pregnant?
Yeah. But and yeah, Tom is basically saying like, watch out for your husband because he's not who he says he is either. So this murder mystery thing very quickly just becomes like, it's which one is it? It's one of those two. Like you say, it's not as clever as Scream or even Thanksgiving does this better, to be honest.
Yeah, I was really thinking. I was really thinking like the comparisons between this and Thanksgiving. I don't know if it was because it was just a holiday-related film.
I think generally the storyline is fairly similar.
Yeah.
There's a disaster years ago, and then murders relating to it happen so many years later. I think there's a definite similar feel to the two.
Just before they go to examine the body, there are a couple of things I noted. Once Minor, I can't remember his name, is killed brutally in the mine. When the police turn up, did you catch what they did?
No, I've got something to mention about this point in the film, but I don't think it's going to be the same thing. Go on.
So we see this guy get hacked with a pickaxe.
Mm-hmm.
We don't hear it. We see Harry lift up and lift up and whack, and he even got it in his hand and in the head. Like it massacred this guy. When the police turn up, they check his pulse. He's dead. What is wrong with these people in this town? Like the nurse,
they're just doing
these
it by
police,
the book.
the nurse that can't see anyone. The police. It's the sheriff's being made. People being made sheriff at 30. It's.
Oh, I didn't. Well, presumably he qualified his pulse taking training, and that was it. It was good enough. You've got the job.
Mad.
I did notice that. It's around this point in the movie where Tom is speaking to Sarah, and Axel just suddenly appears from behind the curtain and starts shouting about how she's my wife and I have sex with her.
I've got the exact line because I burst out laughing. That's a two-parter where he just appears from behind the curtain,
which
like
is
he was
funny
hiding
enough,
there.
as it is.
And the line is, "You mean my wife Sarah, the mother of my son, who I share a bed with and have sex with?"
And like I say, it just becomes this like weird teenage like.
Why do we need to know
swinging
that?
contest for like the affections of this woman. It's just, it's so lame.
I had sex with her.
I have sex with her. I sleep in a race car.
Yeah, he does. I bet he does. Oh man, there are moments in this film that elicit more humour than being scared. There's nothing scary about this film. Not a single thing that's scary or horrifying about this film.
No, I mean there's not really any tension.
Nothing.
No.
So I think our next location will be the supermarket.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Where Sarah and Megan are stocking shelves at night, and Harry, lights go off. Oh, yeah, go on.
Yeah, just that in itself.
Yeah.
So we'll go back and talk about the actual scene itself. But how late are they stocking these shelves? Because after the fact, when they're out in the street, that town is deserted.
Yeah, they can't afford extras.
There is nobody there. Like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I understand, small town, there might not be, an active nightlife or whatever. But theoretically, the store shuts at 6. They may be in there after hours for another hour doing a bit of stock checking. At latest, it's 8 o'clock, and there is nobody on those streets. No cars on the road or
There's
anything.
Nothing. There's nothing.
It's like it's the middle of the night, and I don't believe for a second that they're doing some sort of like midnight late shift. It's just ridiculous.
Well, this night specifically is the last night of the film. This is it. This is right. This all happens in this one night. Because the film right at the end ends in the morning, right early in the morning. So this all happens through the night. So this, you're right. This must be at the beginning of said night, and he had no one around. I don't know why the shot looking outside, looking from inside the supermarket out, just reminded me of the Blob town. There's something about it. Okay. I don't know, that sort of quaint American town. Just something about it. I think it's shot in Pennsylvania, whereas the original My Bloody Valentine is a Canadian film.
Yeah, that's right. We did have the mayor kill just before this bit, actually. The drunk mayor with his shotgun.
Oh, his incredible shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible shotgun that he unloads. He loads because he hears something, and then he unloads it.
Yeah. Oh, gun safety.
And there's another somewhat creative but not creative kill with the pickaxe.
Yeah, because it goes into the floor and he pushes him onto it rather than...
But it lingers, so we get the 3D effect of the pickaxe coming towards the crowd.
101 ways to kill with a pickaxe.
There's nothing really. There's nothing to talk about. He gets killed with the pickaxe. There's nothing to go into it really about.
No,
really, he's killed off.
No, but yeah. So we have the supermarket, and Sarah and her employee, whose name I forget, as you say, stocking shelves late at night. And I made a note at this point that we have a lot of like the killer, the miner, Harry, whatever you want to call him, just sort of stood at the end of an aisle, looking menacing. And you've got to take quite a few gambles as a slasher that you'll just be stood in the right place at the for it to be sort of atmospheric enough. And it's like, they've gone down the other aisle. Like, you can just hurry in away in the background to then standing menacingly at the end of the milk aisle because they didn't walk down the cheese aisle or whatever.
It's classic scary movie joke where he'll be standing there. It's all down to the camera, because the camera pans to our normal hero normally, pans back and they're gone.
Yeah.
But if you think about it in a logical sense, if the camera is constantly looking at them, you're going to see the villain run to the side and run off view. Which
makes it a lot less menacing and frightening when you actually see him like running off. So yeah, we have an extended sequence of the miner sort of stalking them around the supermarket and chasing them.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of things getting smashed and
we get the tripping over nothing, over absolute air.
Mm-hmm. Ultimately, Sarah escapes and her friend, I can't remember that character's name at all. She is not so lucky and is butchered in the back alley with there's some sort of Valentine related message on the wall, isn't there, like be man forever or something.
The problem with this scene though, as they're trying to escape the office through the office window to the back alley, and he Harry, quote unquote Harry, is pickaxing. He's Johnny shining his way through the door with the pickaxe.
Yeah,
he's trying to get through while they're blocking it.
Megan, she's called, isn't she?
Megan's the young girl, who's having an affair. She's halfway through the window, and suddenly he stops breaking through the door. They're like, "Are we good? Are we good?" Not 5, maybe 6 or 7 seconds later, Our killer is round the back,
Yeah.
dragging her out and massacring her. We've seen how big this building is as well from outside. And inside it's big. Ridiculous. He gets round there so quick.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous. I know at this point we're not meant to be taking this film seriously. Okay,
No,
I
no,
get
no,
that. I get that. But come on.
Yeah, so is it Axel? Is it Axel that rescues her?
Yes, through the front door. Yeah, through the front door.
He rescues her. And then we cut to her house, or their house, and the killer, the miner, coming in through the front door, and the babysitter gets the babysitter.
Yeah, how do we... Yeah.
I can't remember how we get there from one to the other.
Well, so this happens in between our, I want to say final act, our final stretch of main scenes where Sarah's eventually in the car with Tom.
Because that's it, she ends up in the car with Tom.
How does she... I can't remember how she ends up in the car. And
Axel's calling her, and I can't remember how she goes from being rescued by Axel to being with Tom.
Yeah, because Tom calls her and asks her to trust him. Basically, trust him. And, oh, that's it. Got it. Because Tom had originally gone to is Axel's dad's old house in the woods where he was having an affair.
Yeah.
And he discovers
Valentine's chocolate.
Valentine stuff, and he thinks Axel's the killer. So that's why he's like, Sarah, trust me. So that's how somehow she gets to the...
He says he wants to show her something, and this is where we really get into that, like Tom saying it's Axel and Axel saying it's Tom, and Sarah's just like, people are dying. I don't know. But in between all this, we get the babysitter being killed.
Yeah, the house. There's already a patrol. There's already a cop there patrolling. But Tom Atkins appears and just states the killer's here. He's in the house. How the fuck? Where did you come from, and how do you know this?
So it's all. There's a lot of like really sort of common tropes and crap in this scene. So we have the patrol car watching the house and sitting out the front of the house, and completely missing the killer, just bypassing the stakeout and getting in the house. And then like you say, the former deputy. Former police chief must have just been having his own stakeout, because he's suddenly like, and he does the classic bang up against the car window.
Yeah, jump scare, cheap jump scare
for no reason. I mean, she's an armed officer staking out for a murderer. Like, behaviour like that's going to get you killed.
What if that was the murderer?
He's lucky that she just didn't just start blasting. But anyway, there goes like, oh, the killer's here, and it's like, well, hang on a minute, how do we know that? Because we've seen it, but how do you know? There's absolutely no reason for you to know. But yeah, they go and enter the house, and this is when we have that really cheesy, "Do you want to take point? Oh, I'm retired" line.
Yeah.
They go in there. The scariest part of this scene is when they go into the living room and their child crawls like Gollum from round the back of the sofa.
Yeah. I noted that down.
It suddenly turns into The Grudge or something similar, with this little child like comes round. And they're like, don't worry.
The thing with Tom Atkins, though, just back to that point where he says, I'm retired. He doesn't want to take point, I'm retired, but whips out his gun anyway.
Yeah.
Still wants to get involved. Just.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Does Tom Atkins get killed first?
They find the body in the dryer. I mean, I know Americans like their things bigger and better than we do, but are they? Is that accurate? A body that can, a dryer that can take a body and
it's absolutely huge. I don't know. We don't necessarily have the top loader dryers over here, do we? Like
no, not very often. But that one isn't the top loader.
No, it's not. But I'm thinking even the top loader, I don't even know if I'd be able to get into a top loader, like, because it's easier to get in the top than try and crawl in the side.
I mean, that's what I mean. This is like industrial scale. Huge. It's big enough to hold a grown woman and spin as well, and actually spin.
So her face is all
that's
melted off. Good effect. I mean, do you know what? The
yeah.
effects are pretty good in this film. The practical effects.
Oh yeah.
We're going to say something positive about this film. The practical effects are good.
Even the CG stuff isn't that ropey.
No.
For a film of this age, there's been more recent films with dodgier CGI effects. You can pick them out, don't get me wrong, but they're not as jarring as some other examples I've seen. And shout out to another like variation in kills. She gets boiled, baked, cooked to death in a dryer.
Not pickaxe related.
No, or not that we see anyway.
No, but we do see with Tom Atkins. He does.
Yeah,
yeah. He gets his jaw ripped off.
He does. Yeah, he gets killed, and it's another like 3D. We're doing this movie in 3D shot. And it's at this point that I thought, actually, they are quite spaced out, those really gratuitous, in-your-face things flying at the camera things.
I think the next one like that will be the tree that comes through the car window of Tom and Sarah when they have a little crash.
Yeah.
That goes right into right up into your face, into the camera.
It does. I mean, shall we move on to that bit? So Tom and Sarah are riding. Before we do, and that is the final moment. This is, for the audio listeners, I do apologise, but you need to believe me on this is one of the worst films I've seen for bad lighting. Okay. You see? Now, that is a lamppost.
This is at night.
Yeah.
How many lighting sources have we got going on right here? We have one coming from the left side. Okay, of his face, and then the moon, which looks like it's coming from the top right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Let's go to number 2.
Okay. Yeah. We have.
Okay. Point out all the different lightings.
I mean, we've got the moon coming from the right of, presumably it's supposedly moonlight coming from the right of the image. There's also something else happening from the left.
Yeah, there is.
And there is a light source in front of him as well.
And the roof.
And the roof. And possibly one behind him.
I mean, this is nighttime. Look how green it is.
Yes, it's nighttime in the woods.
This is my favourite one.
But we have to be able to see that it's nighttime. There has to be enough lighting to tell the audience that it's nighttime.
This is my favourite. This is when Sarah and Tom are driving, like we said, driving to the house. We've still got that Tom and Axel, who to trust. Yeah. Axel rings Sarah. He's on the chase. Basically says, "Don't trust him. We found out he's been in a mental asylum all this time, in an institution all this time." And she starts to feel a bit worried.
He's not the man you thought he was.
No. They end up crashing. Like I said, the tree goes through the car. We get the 3D moment. They split up. She finds the house.
Now, this annoyed me because Tom and Sarah are in the car. They're driving, and he's saying to her, "Do you know that Axel's got some land out here?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's his dad's old place." And then Axel phones up, and he says, he's saying, yeah, he's been in a mental institute, don't trust him. Then she grabs the wheel and causes a crash. And then on the phone to Axel, she says, "Oh, we've had a crash, we're in the woods." And he says, "Go to my dad's place." Well, that's where Tom was taking her. They were both going to the same place.
The exact same place.
So this is not helpful.
It's also apparently right next to the mine.
Well, yeah, it also conveniently happens to be right next to the mine. But if Tom is really that dangerous, surely Sarah would have said, "Well, no, that's where Tom was taking me. I'm not going to go to your dad's place because that's where he was taking me."
Yep.
It annoyed me. It's like, oh, we've only got one location, so both characters are gonna be going
use it.
Yeah.
So they split up after the crash, and Sarah arrives at the house.
Yeah.
Now, look at the lighting on this house. There is a sun shining through this window. Look at the lighting on that. That is insane. And that has lit up the room.
I mean,
if you
it's full
ever
moon.
got, if you've ever got up at night, right, to go through your house, it's pitch black for the most part. If you've got curtains.
I mean, the worst example of this is that scene where Tom and the other guy riding down the minecart into the mine, and they're like fiddling with their headlamps.
Oh yeah, no need.
Despite the fact with their faces are in full, like it's a mine. Have you ever been down a mine? Have you ever been under the earth?
Where there's no natural light.
It's very dark.
Yeah. So she gets to the house and Harry turns up at the house and starts to chase her around the house. He has his torch on.
He does. He does have his torch on.
It's completely unnecessary.
She finds a box. She finds a cupboard full of the Valentine candy boxes as well, doesn't she?
Where do you get them from?
Oh, I don't know. But also the note to say, also the Valentine from Megan.
Yeah.
So she knows that he's been having an affair as well, which say ultimately doesn't really come to anything.
Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't matter.
No,
it don't matter.
But we get that reveal.
Now the final thing I want to show you is the next part where she's running away from Harry and she runs down to the mine.
Yeah.
Which is again conveniently next door. They fuck up with the shadow on this one. So she is trying to get into, I guess, a building that's attached to the mine. The door's locked. So let me show you this. We get this shot here, where we get her breaking, trying to get in, and we get the shadow.
Yeah.
Harry, right? Now, do you know how shadows work?
I mean, yes.
Because the next scene, so in theory, he's coming closer to her, right?
Uh-huh.
The close.
I mean,
because
from where the shadow's going, it's like off to the left.
But that would mean, say we've got her here at the left of my screen, right?
Uh-huh.
Him in the middle, and the light source, whatever light source is behind him, which is projecting the shadow past him onto this door where she is. Okay? You with me?
Yeah.
For this next shot to happen, where his shadow is bigger, he would have to get closer to the light source, which is in the opposite direction to her. But it's implied he's walking towards her.
Yes.
So it doesn't make sense. The shadow, this scene, that she's struggling to get in the door and the shadow gets bigger and he's walking towards her, but the shadow gets bigger, meaning he's walking the other way towards the light source. It doesn't make sense. I had to pick up on this.
I mean, she eventually does get in there and it's some sort of changing room and we have all the clothes just randomly start dropping from the ceiling like a bad fun house.
Why did they start dropping?
It's just, I don't know. There's some time release, like clothes pegs or something. It's silly.
Well, she makes it down to the mine. She makes it down to the mine and we get a very cliche scene of kill him. He's the killer. No, kill him.
Yeah, the standoff. Shoot him. No, shoot him. Until Tom gives himself away by mentioning Megan being dead, and Sarah points out that he doesn't know or wouldn't know that Megan was dead. I think he says Axel, he killed Megan, doesn't he? And she's like, hang on a minute.
How do you know Megan's dead?
How do you know Megan's dead?
Yeah.
At which point we get the reveal, the twist.
Ooh, the big twist.
It was Tom all along.
Yep.
And we have this sort of flashback.
Isn't that an exciting reveal? Isn't that exciting?
It's telegraphed from the beginning. It's so obvious that it's going to turn out to be him.
It is.
We watched this last night and watched it with my partner Vic, and she called it within like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, don't bother pausing it. I'm just nipping off to the bathroom." And like on the way out, she's like, "This is what I think is going to happen." And I was like, "Son of a gun, she's nailed it."
Because
and
the thing
it's obvious right from the beginning. It really is.
The thing is, if it turned out to be Axel, what's his motive? If it turned out to be Harry still, again, kind of what's his motive? And it's boring. There's no reason for it to be. He's just he's
still
come
alive
back.
and
Just going around killing. At least there's somewhat of a reason here, but it's really not good. It's
not good, is it?
It's not good. No,
you know, he was traumatized, so he's being a copycat. And yeah, we get this flashback of him like locking himself, and he is an absolute master of the quick change.
Oh yeah,
all the way through, he has been like, we're talking Clark Kent into Superman levels of like spinning around and being in the outfit, because he is like getting in and out of a full mining get up as well with the respirator and everything. It's not just like taking the jumpsuit on and off.
They must be like stripper trousers, like poppers on the side.
He's murdering people.
Yeah.
He's getting undressed,
whips them
locking himself in the cage, and yeah, we see him sort of excavating Harry's body, this shallow grave in the woods, and finding the gas mask. And that gas mask would be full of all kinds of gunk. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
it's
yeah.
decomposed. It'd have been just rife with like body soup.
Body soup.
Body soup. So
this part really bothered me. I mean, a lot of parts really bothered me, but this part really bothered me because we get a little scuffle between Tom and Axel.
Is it that the police procedure in this town seems to be at the moment a killer confesses that he's a killer, you try and kill him with a pickaxe and not detain him and take him in for questioning and trial by due process and stuff? I
mean, yeah, that's there. No, the thing that really bothered me is that at this point she is still aiming the gun at both of them, going back and forth, and then they have their scuffle. This scuffle goes on for, I would say, a minute, but she's still just standing there aiming the gun. She hasn't moved at all. Just still standing there aiming the gun. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and Tom goes like full blown like Norman Bates at this point.
Yes.
He's like wide eyed and cackling manically, and it was me all along. But at this point Sarah does shoot at him, and he runs off, and his
scuttles away.
Is hilarious, like tippy toes, like.
Yeah, little scuttling away.
He does scuttle away. And then we have shout out to one of the best music videos of all time, Korn's Freak on a Leash, with the 3D bullet effect.
Oh, the bullet, yes.
As Sarah shoots at Tom, and it is literally like shot for shot. When was the Freak on a Leash video actually?
2000?
Because I want to know if
98. Listened to Korn the other day.
I want to know if they did, because it looks very much like they lifted that. Yeah, 98.
98, yeah.
So they did lift that shot of the bullet, like the camera pans around it in the same way.
Yeah, it spins around it, yeah.
And it rips into Tom and presumably goes through it and sets off he's stood in front of a load of gas canisters and it sets off an explosion. But yeah, it is just a shot lifted directly from Korn's Freak on a Leash video.
Now,
and I will not have it.
Oh no, it is. It is. Now, the explosion.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
They're down in the mine. Maybe not as far down as they were before, but they're down in a mine. There's 3 of them, and granted, Tom is closer to this canister than the other 2.
I mean, he's right in front of it.
He's right in front of it. And big explosion. Big explosion happens. We cut to morning. Fire brigade, rescue workers, whatnot, all there. Sarah just limping out. Yeah. She's fine with a rescue worker. And do we see Axel? Is he on? I think he's on a stretcher, maybe.
Yes, I think he is on a stretcher, isn't he?
And we
not
get
a scratch on him, but he's on a stretcher.
No. We get Joe, in this explosion, with I said Tom being so close to the canister, we see him as the explosion happens. We see him get pushed back, thrown back, and in a ball of fire. We get the reveal right at the end of one of the rescue workers walking a little bit further away from the crew, takes the mask off, and it's
we see him killing that rescue worker.
Oh my god, we do.
See him in the mine, covered in rubble. And he's not vaporized.
Yeah,
he's again just a few cuts and bruises. Stood next to several exploding gas canisters, and not so much as lost the pinky. He is in fine fettle considering he's just been in an explosion. And he's buried in some rubble, and the rescue worker comes towards him, and as soon as he sort of gets his arm free, he picks him, and then then we cut
get the reveal
outside and we see him limp, and again he's like limping heavily,
Well, he's been in an explosion, mate.
Well, I know, but as one of the other rescue workers, you'd be like, "Oh shit, Dave has injured himself." Like, mate, you've got to fill out an accident report. Come here, like, what's gone on? Like, he's noticeably not in good shape. Like, he's had some severe accident. Like, maybe he's been in an explosion.
Now look, I've never exploded, all right, but I know someone who has, and they did not look like that.
No. It's like unbelievably he's alive and not vaporized completely.
It's stupid. It's really bad. I want to say directing or just filmmaking in general. Filmmaking 101. His hair is still fine. He's just got some scratches on him. The man just got you portrayed him being in a ball of fire, and nothing is wrong with him.
Yeah, he kills the rescue guy, dons his... My note says he kills the rescue guy, dons his outfit, and Hannibal's out of there. And that is it. That is the end.
No sequel,
apart from the incredibly cheesy final 3D pickaxe swing at the camera. Did you watch the credits? It's all right.
I don't think I did. No,
I mean it's really pointless. But if you did stay to the end of the credits, we just in the last few frames of the credits, it's running over footage of Harry or Tom, the miner, walking sort of towards the camera, and there's one last like swing of the pick towards the.
Okay, no, I
didn't. And it's not like
that.
It's not like a setup for a sequel or like anything like that. It's just like. They had some other footage of him walking around in costume.
We'll
and
just use it
and just stuck it in. Yeah. So if you were, it's not what I'd call like a traditional sort of post-credits scene. It's just another little chance to do some 3D stuff. But nobody was sitting through the entire credit run for this. I'm sure.
No. I mean, I
only happened across it because you can fast forward through credits.
This is pre. The post-credit phenomenon, pretty much. It will have been every film. So, I mean, what I researched up, there was a sequel script pitched not long ago, but it obviously went nowhere because why would it go anywhere?
Why would it?
But I think the film made so much money. It made so much money. But I don't. You can't get a sequel out of this film. You just can't.
I mean, well, you say that it's only like Thanksgiving getting a sequel, isn't it?
That was. I think that was more of our personal opinion that we didn't think it needed a sequel.
I mean, it's the end. It's the same ending.
It is.
Killer gets exploded.
You're right. You're so right.
In fact, the only thing with Thanksgiving is we don't actually see the killer walking away. So in this, we have like a healthy and hale Tom Hanniger like leaving the scene of the crime, presumably to come back and kill again.
Yeah.
So there's more scope for a sequel in that regard, but like, I mean, I guess there's reason to because it'd be a revenge thing, but also who can be bothered? Like, just who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, like I say, not. Cheesy mid-2000s slasher. It was an entertaining watch. It's fun to pick apart, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend it necessarily.
I couldn't.
It's not a must-see. It's not a must-see by any stretch. I am going to watch the original at some point because
yes, I would.
I feel like, just as I say, from reading a synopsis of that, it feels like it's a better story, and. Yeah, just I think it's probably going to be more interesting.
It is. It's a superb film. I really like it. This could not recommend this film. Go watch it if you want, but I couldn't recommend it.
Yeah, there's better things to watch. I mean, there's better things to watch definitely. How long was it? I didn't even twig.
Hour 40.
It's an hour and 40.
Yeah, it's not bad.
There's definitely better things to spend an hour and 40.
Yeah,
it's doing.
There are. So yeah, My Bloody Valentine 3D. Gotta wait another year so we can do My Bloody Valentine original now. Can't do it soon.
That's it. And then we've got to.
We gotta
Are there any
find.
other Valentine's?
There's gotta be
Valentine's Day horror movies. Then we're gonna do Valentine again.
Yeah, we've got to redo our review of it. Yeah.
I mean, my Valentine, the two My Bloody Valentines.
I mean, is Bride of Chucky? That's kind of.
I mean, that's have you Googled Valentine's
Yeah.
Day horror movies?
Yeah.
And that's the list that's come up. Yeah, Pontypool is rubbish. I hated that movie. And
What about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre? No, I don't think that's horror. I think that's a serious film.
Holiday and Holidays. I don't know.
We might
Bride
get a
of
luck.
Chucky.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not overtly Valentine themed, but I suppose it has a romance plot.
Yeah, that's loose. That's loosely Valentine's Day. Yeah.
I mean, we should definitely do Bride of Chucky at some point anyway.
Yes.
It's good.
I agree.
Good fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we might have to. And we might just that might be the end of apart from the original. We might have one more specific Valentine Day movie to go at.
That might be the end of our Halloween. Our Valentine's series, our long-running Valentine's Day themed series on the Dreadcast.
Hey, we start out. I mean, maybe we just have to scrape the barrel. There's got to be more. I mean,
sure there were.
Goodhousekeeping.com has a list of 15 best.
Oh, no.
I don't know why Goodhousekeeping.com has a list of the 15 best Valentine's Day horror movies, but that's more than came up on that Google. So My Bloody Valentine. Picnic at Hanging Rock comes up twice. That's a Valentine's Day picnic.
We have to do our research.
Again, Bride of Chucky comes up.
Yeah, we'll have to do our research in the years to come. So yeah, My Bloody Valentine 3D. It's in the books now, all done and dusted.
Mm-hmm.
As of this recording, past episode would have been out already, which was our debut episode in our Treehouse of Horror series on the channel, which is going to be going on for a long time. There's a lot to go through.
A lot to go at.
we made our way through Treehouse of Horror 1 and 2. Great fun last episode. Great fun.
You've done some excellent graphics.
I'm very happy with
for
them.
that, by the way. Yeah.
But yeah, I put a lot of work into them this week.
It's good.
Found all the images and cut them out and did all the nice artwork, whatnot. So that should be out now by the time this is out. So hopefully you've listened to that. If you haven't, go back and check it out. It was a good fun episode. Lots of laughs. Lots of probably reminiscing of good old Simpsons classics. Next week, your pick, which I'm actually really looking forward to because I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, same. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
It's a long time since I've seen it as well. 2004. 2004's Creep.
Yeah.
Which I want to say it's a British film. It's got to be a British film, right?
Yes, it is.
Set on the London Underground. And yeah, it's pretty nasty as I recall. Like,
yeah,
certainly the theme of it and stuff. It's a nice creepy one. And like you say, I've not watched it for a while. You haven't watched it for a while, so looking forward to giving this one a spin again.
Yeah, really am. And then to follow that, obviously, continuing the Monsters of Universal with Phantom of the Opera.
Yes.
For the end of the month. So that is February. And already got a few things lined up for March. And following March will be the introduction of the Raven-sized coffin pick.
The Raven-sized coffin finally makes its debut.
It will. We started it very early. But hey ho.
We did.
Look
forward to that. Yeah, lots to come.
Once again, thank you everyone. Check out this episode and all past content on Spotify, Apple, Google, Asterix, what Google Podcasts may become. We'll look into it. Amazon, Podbean, Samsung Podcasts, and TuneIn Alexa. You can listen to it on your Amazon Echo devices. And also on, did I say YouTube? Probably YouTube. Maybe YouTube.
I mean, yeah,
I
YouTube,
think go to YouTube.
definitely YouTube.
I think go to YouTube.
Definitely YouTube. Yeah, thanks for that. Like, share, pass it on to your friends. Always appreciated. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening.
Yep.
Always a pleasure. We like doing this.
Love it.
For our amusement and our fun. But we want to.
Don't need an excuse to watch horror, but it's a good excuse to watch.
Exactly, it's a good excuse to watch movies. But we hope that we're giving you guys some entertainment and stuff as well. So,
especially if you listen this far.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it tails off significantly.
It does, yeah.
After the film ends. So you're a trooper. Thank you very much, and until next time, guys.
Stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Peace.